All right, welcome everybody. Get two hands for a hello from Canada, from a Canadian in Florida, I should say. And I feel like Joker. I have a light side and a dark side, but then again, as all human beings, we have that too, right? I have Mark Hernandez on here with us for a live weekly coaching call. And first and foremost, I just want to say welcome, and go ahead and let us know where you're tuning in live from. It's always really cool to know where everybody's tuning in live from. I think to this date, the record that we had on one call was 12 different countries, which has been pretty cool at any given time. So in advance, pardon my lighting, but Mark's going to be on the spotlight mostly just because of where I am in Florida for all the factors that had to be considered: quietness, internet speed, being out of the wind, making sure my hair looks good. I couldn't quite get the lighting just right for our setup here. So at any rate, I just want to welcome you today again, and also let you know that you can as well comment down below, tag somebody when something resonates with you that Mark is sharing, or potentially that I'm sharing with you, to a friend or family member, potentially a client or a team member, or anybody that you think that would be benefited by tuning in live to this. Also keeping in mind, just as I go through some housekeeping elements, that this is a live weekly coaching call. These are free that we do every week for the most part. Sometimes we don't make it every week, but predominantly we've been doing it every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then once a month, we do our monthly mini masterclass trainings that are included in our paid memberships for our platinums and our VIP members. And they can be purchased for $27, but those are focused in-depth trainings, but in a 60 to 90 minute period of time. So basically, what I want to do is I want to bring on Mark, because Mark and I have some similarities that you're going to find out here very soon, as we are bringing him live. We have hair up here, or not. We have hair down here, but maybe not up here.
I kind of have a lot of available real estate up here, and some on the side. Still.
Yeah. Well, you know what? One of my friends used to say that he was a bald. I've been actually bald. I've had hair for many years. I've just shaved for like 15, 16 years. I just enjoy this better. And at any rate, the one guy said, he's like, you know what? Grass doesn't grow on a busy street.
Oh?
So I took that as a compliment, because I think that there's so many ideas that it just burned the hair right off my head. So at any rate, Mark, before I make any more dry jokes and show my level of sense of humor,
sure.
Could you do me a favor and just kind of share with everybody in the audience that's going to watch this now live, of course, and as a replay, just a little bit more about who you are, because there was a period of time in my life that I didn't know who you were and what you do and all the great work that you're doing. So can you just kind of give us a little bit of background, who you are and what you do? And just before you start, some presenters, I come back in 15 minutes later because they get on a roll. And okay. I have a couple of questions that I want to ask you. So just to keep it to a couple minutes, and then I'm going to be right here. I'm just going to put you on the spotlight. Okay.
Sounds great.
All right.
Well, thank you again, Barney, for the invitation to be with you and the animal wellness community this afternoon. So my name is Mark Hernandez. I'm a holistic practitioner. I do consultations for people, animals, and spaces when they've hit the wall with health and well-being issues. Basically, I have intuitive gifts and extensive training to read those subtle energy fields and then identify and release non-beneficial energies locking in place stuff. So on the people side, what commonly gets people in the door, they're in some level of pain. It's disrupting the quality of their everyday life. They've already consulted their medical professionals, done some holistic work, and maybe it's provided a partial or no solution. Okay, so they've typically gone through 95% of the low-hanging fruit, and that's when they'll come knocking at my door. On the pets, which is the focus of our commentary today, pets. People bring me their pets for two main reasons. First is a change in behavior. You know, you have a dog or cat, it's fine. One day it starts peeing and pooing all over the household. Separation anxiety, excessive barking, you introduce a new animal to the group and the dynamics get wonky. That's often when people pick up the phone. The second category is people have taken their pet to the vet. And as I always say, your first step is always to take your pet to the vet, because what I do is I can provide energetic support, and by no means am I a replacement for excellent veterinary care. So let's say the pet parent has taken the pet to the vet. The vet does discover something going on, maybe like a growth, blockage, something along those lines. I can provide a layer of energetic support. And the last category I work with are spaces. You know, we've all been in spaces where we walk in and we go, oh, I got to get out of here. You know, and so I can identify and release the non-beneficial energies that are making spaces feel wonky. This can be especially beneficial for people in the animal community. You know, I often think about people that go to like rescue shelters. I think those are prime candidates to have their space cleared out regularly because, as we know, the animals have gone through a lot of trauma and abuse. They leave their energetic signature there, and lots of times the animals pick up on it. So all my work is non-invasive, safe, gentle, and yields results. At times immediately, and in other instances over time. The last thing I'd like to add is I do multidimensional healings. Let me tell y'all what that means for me. Multidimensional healings, I'll check if it's an animal, their current timeline, but many animals, people, and places have had other incarnations as souls, past lives, parallel lives, future lives, in-between lives, off-planet lives. Sometimes when things are really, really stuck, do a quick cleanup of the other timelines and things get a moving. So that's who I am and what I do in a nutshell.
That's pretty awesome. Let me turn this off here so I can, yeah, perfect. So I also, before I would comment on your a little intro there, Mark, I want to just share, people probably like, why the heck is this guy standing here half shaded and half lightened? Light on one side and shade on the other side, and also with my shirt off. Well, because I'm in Florida, and I'd like to get some sun, because if I go home to Canada, my friends will be like, "You went to Florida for 3 weeks and you still look like Canadian Casper, the White Ghost." So that's why I'm standing here with my shirt off, because normally I don't do that. So I think that that's really, really, really neat. First of all, for a couple reasons. Number one, my background is in background professionally is in holistic health, running gyms. In holistic health for the human beings, and then seeing the parallels between that and the animal side. You know, I think that there are a lot of other contributing factors that go into the overall scope of consideration that has to be taken in, I think, when looking at, well, you know, this animal or this person has this issue or condition, because one of the things that I've learned is that it's best not to treat the disease that has the person, but the person that has a disease or an ailment, because there's a lot of other energetic
Okay. I think we lost the signal.
Oh, okay. Guys, can you just let me know if you can still hear me?
Now I can, at least. You cut out for about 20 seconds or so. Okay. Now we're back.
Okay, guys, if you can just let me know, comment that down below if I am still sounding okay. I know I look fantastic, but do I sound fantastic? That was another little joke by Barney. Let me know if I'm still coming through, because I don't want to keep talking. But I'm curious about did you just wake up one day and said, hey, you know, I want to just get into this? Did you just want to get into this work first? Was it the people, the animals, and then the spaces, or did it just kind of unfold as you went along the way?
Yeah. So how I got involved in this whole world of energy medicine, energy healing, is because of my own professional life. My first background, I have a PhD in Hispanic studies and taught at the college level for 20 plus years. And during my time in the academic world, some really unusual things were going on in my professional life that made no logical sense. So I picked up the phone, called my brother. He's a doctor of integrative medicine in Texas. So he's a medical doctor by training, but does much more. Has had his own holistic practice for 30 plus years. Anyway, told him what was going on. He suggested I work with an energy healer in New Mexico. At the time, this was back in 2007, I was living and working in Boston. So I worked with this energy healer, 2 1-hour sessions over a 2-month period. And during that time, when nothing had changed in my professional life, as I like to say, that proverbial needle started to move, okay? And that got my attention. So I was a little bit stubborn, thought, hey, we can still turn the situation around. And it didn't for a variety of reasons I've learned later. And so that got me started. I called my brother back, said, hey, I want to learn that energy stuff, because we all come into this lifetime with baseline ability to do energy work, energy healing. And I discovered that, coming through the cafeteria line to come down here, I got extra scoops that were meant to come online at this stage of my life. So, so with that, I started training, certifications, and that's how I got started with energy healing. Initially, it was for people. Then what happened in 2011, 2013, I was living and working in Asia, in Taipei, in Taiwan, and teaching Spanish in an international high school there. And on my own time, I was doing my emotion code certification. This is a healing modality by Dr. Bradley Nelson. You learn how to identify and release negative trapped emotions. And part of that certification involved, the last piece of the certification involved the practicum, where you worked with a total of 25 volunteer clients. And at least 5 of those volunteer clients had to be animals. Okay, so when I was doing this certification, I was living, working in Taiwan, did not speak Mandarin Chinese. So I was having some challenges finding some volunteer clients to work with this crazy Westerner and want to do some energy healing on them for their animals. Okay, so I was stuck. I had hit the wall for 2 months. No one was really kind of stuck. And one fateful Saturday afternoon, a local Taiwanese friend called me and said, Mark, do you want to go ice skating? And I said, ice skating in Taiwan? I said, it's been a crazy experience already anyway. And on the spur of the moment, I went. I hadn't been in 25 years. I'm horrible at ice skating, but I went. Turned out that in the downtown ice skating rink in Taipei, as we're going to the rink, we passed this area in the rink, it was a separate business, but we see all these cats in the window. I said, what's this? Of course, I learned in Taiwan, often I'd see the Mandarin sign and go, oh, and then there was English. Wow. So I had the Mandarin, but it also had the English. It said, the Catsoul, the cat hotel. I said, what's this? So I just knew to ring the bell. They let us in. Turned out the owner was there. She was into energy work herself. My ask spontaneously, I said, hey, told her what I was up to. Could she refer me to an English-speaking animal shelter in the capital so I could work with the animals, and help the animals, help me with the certifications, and that was my ask. Well, like I said, turned out she was into holistic work. She said, oh, I'm very interested in what you're doing. I have friends that are very interested in what you're doing. I'll book all your sessions. You can do them all here at the Cat Hotel, and I'll be your translator. I'm like, really? So I went stuck for 2 months. No one even talked to me, to doing 25 sessions with animals at the Cat Hotel in downtown Taiwan, Taipei, over a 3-week period. So that's how I got started with animals. And when I was originally working with the animals, I really enjoyed working with the animals. So I knew when I got back to the US and established my practice, I wanted the animals to be an integral part. So that's kind of how my entry into animals. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I was just curious on that, because I think that there's many, I'm going to presume, it's always dangerous to make an assumption, and making a presumption for those of you watching live and after as a replay, that there are kind of like these stages of growth that you go through in regards to like kind of taking care of your pets and your animals. And so there's people that are out there right now, Mark, that are thinking, they're like, well, I don't really know the energy side of like doing work with my animals, because we have had some of our presenters, like Carol from Healing Touch for Animals.
Yeah.
Carol Commoner. Did you ever take any training with her?
No, I did training when I was in Taiwan as like an extension. When I started getting animals, I did trainings with online trainings with Lynn McKinsey.
Okay.
Lynn McKinsey, and I did a lot of her classes, online classes.
Yeah.
And just kind of got into it, kind of like organically, unfolded.
Yeah.
I do a lot of intuitive work too with people, animals, and spaces that just things come through that I know the animal needs.
Right, because we've talked about this before. I don't know, for those of you who are on now, and again for the replay, I don't know how many of the coaching calls that you've been through, but a common thread that has kind of been present with a lot of the calls has just been the importance of considering, the electromagnetic frequencies in your space, what cleaners you're using, the smells, if you're using Febreze or like Glade plugins, if you're using essential oils, which ones to use, which ones not to use, the energetic side, and then the people that are involved. I mean, there's a lot of different layers when it comes to the consideration of things to look at. And I say all this just because I think that it's a great encouragement for everyone watching to continue down the path, because I'm going to presume that if you're on this call, you're watching, that you're interested on some level, which, by the way, Mark's presentation is in. If you're a member, VIP or Platinum member, you can go back and watch the presentation anytime. You can share it through the app. I actually had it written down, but it's easier for me not to take the risk of turning the feed off right now, but I forget which day you were featured on.
Day 4?
Day 4, maybe.
So. Well, the neat part is earlier part of the summit.
You can go in there, and when you're in the members area, you can search for his presentation or for your presentation. So it's pretty easy. But talk to us a little bit more about that specifically as it relates to, like, even just a brief summary. If for those of that are on, because they've had messages after on our support desk, people say, hey, that's great, Barney, that you're talking about. Maybe I want to go and watch it. I'm not a paid member. I can't watch it. So can you give them just a brief summary of what you shared on that training in the summit?
Yeah. So on the summit, the title of the presentation was Heal Your Pet with the Body Code. So the focus of that presentation was to give people an overview of the emotion code and the body code, 2 holistic healing systems by Dr. Bradley Nelson, and how you could use these, or either learn them yourselves or consult with a practitioner such as myself to support the health and well-being of your animals. So in that presentation, what I do is I give a brief overview of what is the emotion code, what is the body code, how it unfolded. Both the emotion code and the body code originally started, or the emotion code started as a system for people. And then what happened is Dr. Nelson had a client that said, can you work with my horse? I've already taken the horse to the equine vet, and it had a urination issue in the stalls. And so he just kind of went out there, did something spontaneously with the emotion code, released some trapped emotions, and the horse had a big breakthrough. So that's how so I talk about the evolution of that. I then talk about what are the common issues that people seek consultations. Like I said, especially for animals, like I said at the beginning, usually a change in behavior, or the animal, the vet has discovered something veterinarily going on. These can provide layers of energetic support. And then I went through of what a typical session looks like. People typically come to me with, issues going on with their pets, describe, how I tune into the animal, get their permission, connect with God, source, creator, and clear energies. The 2 main reasons that animals have their issues are, 1, emotional baggage. Often stuff, they take on the energies of the household. So if there's some workplace stress, anxiety, fighting, the animals will often take on the energies of the household and get out of whack. Also, and they definitely can have their own life issues. I see that too. But the second biggest category why animals have their stuff is the toxicity that Barney mentioned, especially the food. If people aren't feeding them pretty clean dog food, cat food, that's usually an issue. I see a lot with vaccinations. If the animals were ever vaccinated, we can identify and release the energies connected with those vaccination energies. And then the EMFs and Wi-Fi can also be a source of imbalance. As Barney said, often animals are very sensitive to, like, if people are using the Febreze or those whatever things to quote unquote freshen up their environment. Those have so many chemicals. So
those little plugins.
That's
yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
They're for both people and animals. And yeah, those are some of the main things. And so, yeah, and then I talked to people, yeah, they were interested how they could learn more about the emotion code, body code, or just drop me a note and, see if they wanted to work together.
Yeah, that's great, because that was going to be my next question as I bring myself back in here. I was busy doing my hair, so
Sure, I know.
it looks a little better. So like here, I could just stand like this, and then you could see me, my whole face. But
yeah.
Anyways, I'm trying to make it fun for you guys if you aren't having fun already. But yeah, and by the way, if you have any questions, everybody, this is your chance to ask about anything that you've thought of. And my rule on asking questions, because sometimes people are like, oh, I don't want to ask this, because we get asked questions after in our support desk. I'm like, you should have asked this on the call. That would have been great. But one of my former bosses had the best line ever when it came to questions, because sometimes people feel like they don't want to ask because they're going to feel stupid or whatever.
Yeah.
But he said that a stupid question is only one that you ask twice and that you already know the answer to.
Right. No, I taught for many years. I always would tell my students, ask, because probably 5 other people have that exact same question.
Yeah,
jump in
for sure. So, that's great. I think it's good to just talk about that. Now, what are talk about what the presentation was, some of the things that can contribute to the ailments or the ongoing issues that plague or that are bothering our pets and animals, and the other things that kind of go into, like, all the elements that we talked about with the environment, the space, as you said, the people that are around. Because I started thinking about that, how many times has somebody have had some issues trying to resolve it and spending tons of money on medications or even homeopathic remedies or certain things. And in reality, it's kind of like, you're getting frustrated because your fuel mileage is really, we're all adults on this, so I'm going to swear here, so prepare yourself. Okay. Getting kind of shitty. And you're like, well, I'm getting crappy fuel mileage in my car, but you haven't taken the car to go get it checked out, check the alignment, check how the tire wear pattern is, or you didn't change the oil filter. You just drain the oil, put new oil in, and then you get frustrated. And I have to make an analogy like that. That makes sense to me in my head. And as you were talking, that's what kind of came to me, that having that sense of empowerment, knowing that there are things that can be done by simply taking inventory of the things that we talked about already. So for some really good little simple nuggets of wisdom, Mark, and like kind of like actionable things, what are some tips that you could give everybody today about just some things that they can do to kind of pay attention or observe or take inventory of in their space with the people around them and their pets to make it a better experience?
Yeah. Okay. Some actionable tips. First of all, when there's a change in behavior or animal, you're in tune with them, there's, maybe one day, they're off, whatever, but you start noticing a pattern. Or often I'll have, I remember someone consulted with me that said, my dog's depressed. I said, well, what happened? And so they had been spending a lot less time with the dog, and instead of spending time with the dog, they had gotten a puppy and thought that was the solution. So I did a consultation with that dog, and there were a variety of reasons why there was quote unquote depressed energy with the dog, but that dog wasn't too happy with that puppy. Okay, told me some things I can't say it on air, but so those are some of the things. So pay attention to changes in behavior, and maybe just keep a brief little log of things, just telegraphic, of what you're noticing with your animal. And be mindful of the energy, of your own energy, because often people will bring me, I've had a lot of people when I'm at Holistic Fair say, my pet, this, that. Okay, tune into the animal. The animal's taking on the energies of the humans in the house. Okay, so I like to use the analogy. So, if there's gushing oil in the Gulf of Mexico, energy medicine can be kind of like the scooper or the troller that picks up the oil. But until you cap that oil well, it's going to be a temporary solution. Okay, so look at your own issues, because often the humans are the source for a lot of the animals' issues.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't know if you were going to keep going there.
Oh, yeah, I can.
No, I was just to pause. So I was going to say something. So as I was listening, I was just grabbing myself some water to keep me hydrated here. And also because I can feel the sun on my skin, I put some of the Young Living mineral-based sunscreen on. So we'll see how it works. Working really well. But so you said that about the contribution of humans or pet parents that contribute. And it's funny because I was chuckling back there when I was off camera because the holistic vets and other types of practitioners that are working with animals, they said really, and pets. So they said that a lot of what they end up doing is spending their time working with the human or the pet parent that is in charge of care, or some people don't like the word owner, but the pet owner, the pet parent. And that they said almost more often than not, it has their energy, the choices of what they're putting in their house. Because really, when you think about it, I mean, and I know I'm preaching, as I say this to you, I'm preaching to the choir telling you this, but it's worth the discussion, I think.
Absolutely.
That it's all of the stuff, what you're using for your fabric softener, for your laundry detergent, for cleaning your dishes, what you're using in your dishwasher, on cleaners on your floor, what you're putting in the space. So that's what, when you're talking about the space, you're not just talking about coming in and smudging a space and then having all this other toxic crap there. It's kind of like when I was back in the gym, or I would presume anyways, when I was in the gyms and coaching full time, I had this checklist called the Toxic Home Checklist.
Mm-hmm.
And it was basically going through because I realized that, the person that I learned a lot from in holistic health had suggested us looking into this, because he said, when we're training, or you're doing sessions on some of the pets and humans, really you only have that 1 hour, that half hour, that hour and a half to impact them, to do some work on them, or to do whatever it is. So in this case, in the gym, it was training them, but then they go back to their ongoing behaviors and patterns of actions for all of the 23 hours of the rest of the day that they're not with us, so to speak. And so we worked on a lot of behavioral elements, changing patterns of actions. So have you noticed that in your kind of practice and your sessions that ends up being a fair bit of your kind of time that you spend with your pet?
Well, because when I originally was working with animals, or set up my business, People and Pets Energetics, I thought the consultation would be, okay, I'm going to work with a person or an animal. There'd be two distinct sessions. When I was always working with the pets, there's always a piece that tracks back to the humans. I've yet to see a pet give their trapped emotions to the humans. It's always a one-way street.
Yeah, right.
Okay. So, so I guess where I want to go with that is I realized that I am spending a lot of time saying, I remember a session I was talking about when I was in Wisconsin at a holistic fair. A woman came in her 30s, about her cat having all sorts of digestive issues. Everything tracked back to the person. They were going through some stuff and not willing to face their own stuff.
Yeah.
I said, I can do this. This will help your pet short term. You need to be open to addressing your own stuff. I said, you can choose, obviously, it's your choice.
Yeah.
If you really want to help your pet, you need to help yourself first. You need to put on your own oxygen mask first.
Yeah.
So I think that was a little bit of the surprises. And I love that I know there are a lot of people we've had on the Animal Wellness Summit. I don't know if you've had Denise Main. She was on my guest on the People and Pet Show. But it's really working with people that are addressing your relationship with the animal, really in depth. And I think that's so important, because the animals, I'm sure other presenters, show up on our lives, or part of our lives, often to teach us things, mirrors about what's going on in our own lives.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I think that, and that's a humbling, sombering truth.
Yeah.
Because basically it just kind of puts it's like holding up the mirror, so to speak. And so for all of you listening, just for some interaction engagement, share with us what you're thinking about this so far. Do you agree or disagree? For the record, I take the middle road on most things. That things are positive and negative, but either way, they still both are. Let us know if you agree with it or not. And I want to pull this up because I think this is funny. Eva, one of our presenters, comes on and says, I just got on and see a nude breast of Barney, but maybe it's a language thing. But I as a man, have a pec or pectoral muscles, but maybe you like to call them breasts in Spain. But But yeah, I as I said before, I'm getting some sun and decided to be here without my shirt on.
Sure.
But yeah, so I think that that's really powerful, but also challenging, Mark, because it then kind of puts passes the buck back to us as the pet parents and the animal lovers. So what are some things with that knowledge? What are some tips that, like, from that standpoint of like, okay, I recognize that there's some things that are contributing to my pet's health or maybe my health as well. And then maybe people are sitting on the fence of uncertainty about how far do I take it with what's actually all my stuff, because it can go the other way too. It can go the other way where it's like, oh, it's not the animal, it's nothing wrong with them, it's all me. It's all me doing something on them, and I'm all projecting on them. I'm like an energy reverse vortex. And I know you didn't say this, but some people think that, because then they think, well, crap, now it's actually just all me that is contributing to my animals, ailments, conditions, or whatever, right?
Yeah, let me just give you an example of that. Like I said, humans can contribute, but animals can have their own life issues. This morning I was working with a horse remotely, and 20-year-old horse, and the owner of the horse already had taken it to the equine vet, had chiropractic adjustments, gone to an animal communicator, and it's been going on for about a month. Okay, it doesn't seem to quote unquote be getting better. So I did a remote consultation. I used a system called Topofan Healing from Dr. Karen Can. And what I found with some animals, like I said, some animals are very spiritually advanced. Okay, and this one needed like this more really spiritually advanced tool. And there were a lot of things going on with the animal from other lifetimes that we cleared up. And again, we'll wait and see over the next couple weeks, if there's any shift or not with the quote unquote physical lameness that this horse is displaying. So, so I just want to get back to your point. Yeah, and my comments were to quote unquote place the blame or the onus on everything. I tell it like I see it, because I just said, like I said, because I want your goal, my goal is to see your animal improve, be at optimal health and wellness. And if the piece is the human, I'll share that, and people can always decide what they want to do or not do.
Right.
But often you're right. The animals can definitely have their own life issues.
Yeah, and I just thought it was worth discussing, because I have noticed that in my own coaching practice and career. Really, I've been doing it for about 18 years with humans, and I've moved from personal training, gym members, personal training, and now in the entrepreneurial space with other business owners that just with their marketing and advertising. And It really comes down to just the things, the issues that they're dealing with. They get frustrated in their business. Well, let's look at this, your behavior, your process of making decisions or patterns of actions. And I've had to face that big, shiny, bright mirror on the wall and look at myself, and it can be challenging. So I just think that it is really neat that you share that. And also I think as much as it can be, challenging to accept that truth, the other side of it is knowing that we have that potential as human beings, right? As pet parents, as animal lovers, to have that much of an impact on our animals and our pets, that then puts, in my opinion, a very strong sense of responsibility in what we're doing. And I share this for everybody, for you, Mark, but really for everybody listening, that from my humble experience growing up in a farm, having lots of animals throughout my whole life experience, being 36 years on planet Earth, is that it's really a great opportunity for us to grow and develop and work with them. Because it is sad when you see the person walking down the street and they're frustrated with their dog and they're yanking on the dog's harness or the leash because the dog's not walking. You're just like lunging and pulling and all this. And really it's just that, or they get frustrated and irritated, which in reality, they're just projecting their own, if I can use this adult word, shit on their animal and their pet. And I mean, technically as human beings, we do that kind of naturally anyways. But I think once you're aware of what I'm hearing from you, and I really agree, is that once you're then aware of that something, then you can make better decisions, you can make better choices, which you can then see better results.
Yeah, and what I see this is about is restoring choice and freedom, people's awareness that there is choice. They can still choose to stay on the current path, which is, I'm neutral about it.
Yeah.
But choose what you'd like to do. But I think it can be very liberating to know that there is choice.
Yes.
That people can choose differently if they choose.
Yeah, that's good. Good distinction. You can choose to exercise that choice if you choose to exercise the choice.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and it is there when one of my coaches in holistic health, he said it might not sound very sexy or pretty, but he's worked with hundreds and thousands of people, and he said some people it's just easier for them to have the disease or maintain the disease or the ailment, and dying, as crazy as it sounds, dying is to them easier than making the diet, lifestyle, other changes, because of it's conditioned programming on so many different levels over a certain period of time, that it sounds kind of bizarre, but it's easier for them, even though they won't maybe admit it, to just kind of like, well, I'm kind of have this issue, this ailment, this condition, or this disease. And I don't know that animals necessarily do that, but because I don't know that how that all works, but I've seen that in humans for sure.
Yeah, for humans, as we know, for humans, especially humans, 95% of our world is at the subconscious level, 5% at the conscious level. And sometimes other people feel like they have these really weird patterns. I see it. If they've done, invested the time and money to get better, and they're about the same. I often see they have other energies from other timelines that are locking into place their stuff. We do a cleanup of that other timeline, and they often have a breakthrough.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. I would agree with that. What I've observed in my 18 years of doing coaching professionally. So Trisha has a great question, and hello, Trisha. I think she's from California. Yeah. What have you seen commonly come up as a cause solution for skin itching or allergies in cats when it's not diet or toxins?
Okay, so I'm going to give you the energy medicine approach. As we say in the energy world, anything can cause anything. So I never see one thing. If you've eliminated the most common, things like the food and that, it's often stuff that you would never consciously be aware of. We clear it and let the changes show up. It can be anything. And part of my work, I deal a lot in the world of spiritual medicine. So I remove curses, entities, ghosts, all sorts of wonky energies. That may be a factor, it may not. So I think as a practitioner, like I said, people that come to me, they've done their due diligence. They've gone through the low-hanging fruit. So really, there's no one thing I see energetically, except, again, I had to generalize and say maybe the animal's taking on some emotional baggage from the household or the toxicity, but it can be other things.
Yeah, so there's really not, and I don't know that you could necessarily do that, just say, yep, for sure it is this. But I think Trisha was just asking kind of from the perspective, have you noticed that in other elements, but or are there cases that you've worked with? But on a quick side note, I did post your website here. Are you, because I'd like to answer this question, because if not, then our support desk gets bombarded after these calls. So if people are interested in working with you on the human or pet level, the best thing for them to do is to go to your website, or how does that work, Mark?
Yeah. Go to my website at www.peopleandpetsenergetics.com, or go to your favorite search engine and enter in People and Pets Energetics. And there you'll see information about my services. And I do, let's go ahead, since this is focusing on pets, if people have an animal that has a lot of things going on, like 5 or 6 things, and they want to kind of get a sample of how I work, they can apply for a complimentary 30-minute discovery session. Okay, so they do a brief intake form, kind of list the 6 or 7 things going on. And then during the discovery session, I will do a mini healing, about 10 minutes. You can get quite a bit done on, a piece of that. So they get a sense of who I am, how I work, take a week or so to see if they notice any improvements, and decide if they'd like to move on further. So yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm on your site here. I'll find the link.
Yeah, it's the link. It says apply for a complimentary discovery session that has pets. I have one for people too. Yeah.
Okay. Discovery session. Okay, let me try my best to multitask here. Doesn't always work. So Beverly's asking, Rorig, I've been using silver hydrosol to treat a tumor in my cat's upper jaw, cheekbone. Do you have an opinion of that product effectively treating cancer? Or what are your thoughts with some of the work that you do as it relates to cancer?
Okay, so cancer. So we know there's the rate of pet cancer has really gone up in the last like 15 years. There's a lot of excellent information out there, like the Truth About Pet Cancer and other resources. Again, the type of work I do is I tap into God Source Creator, my archangels and light team, that it's always going to be customized work. So yes, there can be a certain product I can test energetically broadly, like how beneficial a product is for an animal. People can choose if they'd like to use it or not. And then also it's always important to check the energy of that product, specific product for that specific animal. So, yeah, certain products will be universally non-beneficial for everyone, but at a certain time and place, certain products can be exactly what a person or animal needs. So I think there was, I'm trying to go back to comment, there was a specific product.
Oh, yes, pardon me. Let me pull it up here. It was I've been using a silver hydrosol to treat tumor in my cat's upper jaw, cheekbone. Do you have an opinion of that product? I think by the sounds of it, the short answer is you could, but you'd have to test it to see how it would benefit that specific animal, correct?
Yeah, I can just do a quick check-in. Again, as I said, what I'm going to offer is not veterinary advice, medical or anything. I'm just going to test overall this God Source Creator, the silver hydrochloride, like how, as a product in general, how beneficial.
Right.
Coming in as 91% strong. Now, let me test for the specific incident for the cat. Yeah, it's coming in 91% strong for the cat. So I'm getting energetically that it's beneficial. Again, that's probably, again, with cancer situation. I was recently on a podcast for humans about cancer, and I talked about, there's no one solution, no one approach. So do your own research, arrive at your own conclusions. And but that feels beneficial, again, as a piece of probably the many excellent things she's doing to take care of her animal.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I just had a chuckle there when you were tapping in there, because I've taken some training before too, where some people think just to put it out there, some people think it's crazy, voodoo, weird, off, but in reality, it's just that they don't have experience, or they're not. I mean, really, we're energetic beings, or spiritual beings having a human experience. But at any rate, it's cool, because when you practice that as a skill, what you're doing, you really can, in my opinion, I'll use another adult word here, you can cut through all the bullshit, because there's a lot of research that when you go online and do research or anything, you can get get what's called paralysis of analysis, and then people just don't know what to do. And because they're putting all their trust outside of themselves and not kind of, it's good to have some outside counsel from somebody that's skilled like you, but even when I would say this, when they're working with you and you share this, that would you agree with me, Mark, on this? And it's okay if you don't.
Yeah,
but if you gave some, like, let's say some insight to Beverly, and you said, yeah, that's about a 91%, and she might like, oh no, I thought there's, chances are she's using it, so she's asking for some confirmation. But if you gave some suggestions, do you encourage people to kind of like see how that lands or how that resonates?
Oh, yeah, I always say, how does it resonate with you? Try it out, see how you're doing in 5 days, 2 or 3 days, and because also that's important. It can change too. Maybe it's 91% goes up to 95, and then 3 weeks later it's 80% because the animal's different. It's going to vary. That's what I want to leave people with. That energy medicine, this type of work is always customized for the animal, and what's great for Ralph the dog may not be great for Fifi the poodle, you know?
Yeah, no, this is really great. So this is good because I know Trisha does this work too, or at least if I
Great.
recall your name, Trisha, because you have a really unique name, and I remember your profile picture too. Said when you were when he was testing you, Mark, soap, I was feeling it too. That it was good for her, like dowsing, but in my head body. So he's excellent. So she's giving you confirmation.
Okay, great.
And pardon me, I had to sneeze.
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay, so there's a couple more here. This is good. This is, yes, Melissa, I am out here, as Eva said earlier, I'm out here tanning my breasts in Florida.
Yeah.
The sunshine is great, but oh my goodness, I'm going to have to be careful here. Okay, so here, this is perfect, Mark. Alicia, okay, here, I think this is a quick one because about 4 more questions and we've got about 10 minutes left and then we'll wrap up.
Okay.
So Alicia's asking, how can you find the energies from other timelines is what's causing the issue?
Yeah, great question. So, when I start the session, I always have the permission of the animal.
Yeah.
I connect with, that I'm tapping into the field of the animal. I connect with God, Source, Creator, Archangels, Light Team, and that's how I do my work. I'm very clear. So when I'm talking about healing, it's about restoring wholeness to an energetic system. And through that, through my intuition, my extensive training, and I think it's always important, like a practitioner like myself, I've always done a lot of my own inner work to be a clear channel for this information that I know, it's spot on. So that's how I work broadly. And in the end, it's always about results. People know if they're better or not, and they decide,
Yeah, that's good. So really just how to find the energy. So you're not explaining the tactical or technical side of it. Is just that because of how you do it, you just know this is from another timeline, so to speak, right?
Yeah, well, I ask as I'm tracking. Okay. I'm getting issue, let's say emotional stuff. Now I just know here, check the other timeline. This life, past life, paralyzed, future life, future life. Sometimes the future lifetime.
Yeah.
And I'll ask, do I need to know more about that? No, let's just clear it.
Right.
On. Okay. It's a quick cleanup. It's not like a hypnosis where you go through a past life regression.
Right.
You cut to the chase.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. I don't think this is an easy one. Maybe we might not, because it's not directly the nature of this call here, but Alicia, you were asking about, Alicia, pardon me, put raw food. Tabitha, by the way, best food for dog. So maybe, again, that can be.
It's going to be particular, like I said, certain broad categories aren't going to be beneficial for any dog, but ultimately that's funny because I remember when I was first starting out in Taiwan doing those sessions at the cat hotel I talked about at the beginning of the show. I finished the healing session and the other questions go, does my dog like the food? I went, hey, people want to know, and I can test. Like, is the animal like that? And often the dog will give the owner or pet parent a confirmation. They'll kind of like tug on them. They'll move. You can energetically test, and everyone can learn this.
Right.
Do some training of how to do muscle testing, intuitive. You can test how beneficial a specific dog food is for a specific dog.
Yeah, so that would be great. I'd encourage you, Tabitha, from my experience, to take the guesswork out, because there's 2 ways, like the tax man, as a little joke here. One thing you can never avoid is taxes. And if you try to, then it's just cheating the system, in my opinion. But you're never the sun's always going to come up in the east and settle in the west. The taxes are always going to need to be paid. And the point is that if you're going to pay, you're going to pay when you're asking questions, you're building a business, you're trying to help somebody. You're either going to pay with time and try to save the money and do it yourself and figure it out, or you're going to pay with money and have it done. But my encouragement, why I'm saying this to you, Tabitha, is that what I'm getting as my intuition is to encourage you to reach out to Mark and do one of those free sessions, because you could just say, yeah, this is the question I have specifically, boom, boom, boom. And I don't know Mark that well. We've just met through our Animal Wellness Summit. We got to know each other better, but I can tell from my experience that you are very skilled. And I know you're like, you don't need that from me, but I want to share with you all that I have a fair bit of experience in this department. and that I think that it'll take the guesswork out for you to just share some specifics, and then maybe you can work with Mark to get more clear on a couple other things as well.
Right.
Yeah. So that's my suggestion. I think Tabitha is still on. So yeah, that's great. Okay. A couple other questions. If you do, this is from Brenda.
Yep.
Hello, Brenda. If you do a remote consultation and do you have to only have one animal with you in the room and leave the other animal somewhere else while you were doing work? This is a great question.
Yeah, great question. So I guess let me answer that question by sharing stories. I'll often be working. A person has booked a consultation for their cat, and they have other cats. So the consultation is for a cat. And they said, but Ralph showed up too. I said, well, Ralph can just get some healing benefits. So I'm tracking the energy of that animal. Okay. Now, I often have other animals that show up too, kind of sitting by and listening as I'm doing the clearings, and they're just receiving other benefits from the healing. So no, it's not essential to put your animal in isolation. And, I'm tapping into the energy of your animal, and that's the focus. And also the other animals will probably receive benefits too, if they choose.
Yeah, that's great. So basically they don't have to be everybody in the basement and then everybody else in the room. You get on the phone, because then you're doing, it's like the way I've had this explained to me. I don't know if this makes sense, but the way I've had this explained to me is it's kind of like majority of people, if you don't have a cell phone, I presume that you do, but if not, then you know what a cell phone is and how it works. You get the cell phone tower that broadcasts the signal. Now we could go down a big rabbit hole about 5G and 4G and all that stuff, but majority of us have cell phones and we rely on that for our communications and talking to people, helping people. But that everybody's cell phone number, you can't, my cell phone number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 as an example. Yeah. Okay. But if you did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, you're not going to get Barney Kunze. It's going to be somebody else, or it's going to say, sorry, this number is on service or it doesn't exist. So when you're doing this work, Mark, is it the same that when you're saying, okay, it's this animal, this specific, that you're like, it's like calling a number on a cell phone?
Yeah, I'm connected directly to the animal. So through intention, I'm connecting with the animal, and that's the energy field I'm connecting with. Now, cool. I do a lot of like live mini healings on my show, the People and Pet Show, where I infuse them with healing benefits. So people or animals can just say, take what applies to me, and they'll receive some healing benefits per se. Because often, even though I'm working with person 1 or animal 2, animal number 3 can receive benefits too. Right.
Like a residual or like a proximity benefit. Okay, that was great. A couple more. I know this is usually what happens. Everybody's shy at the beginning and then they start getting warmed up right at the end.
Yeah.
So Brenda says, when you test the energy of a product, is that like muscle testing of a product, or you ask the animal?
I tap into God Source Creator, and I get intuitive information about the product.
Okay, so you're getting intuitive information. It's not, was asking for, you're not muscle. Is muscle.
It's kind of my own version of muscle. Yeah, so I was going like this. I was tracking the energy, but it's more than that, what I did.
Right, okay. But in an essence, kind of like to...
Yeah, a version of, which everyone can learn, which I'd encourage them to learn.
It's like...
muscle testing, dowsing. Someone else mentioned that earlier. Yeah.
So it's kind of like the way I look at it is exercise. I think that everybody would be, I'm an exercise enthusiast. I own gyms, train people. I built a studio in my home. I love exercise. Yeah. Amazing. Same for animals, for people. Best exercise is the one that you do regularly. In case you were wondering, I just gave you some little tips there. But would you agree, Mark, that the work that you do, dowsing, muscle testing, is kind of in the same category? Just like when people go to the gym, there's weight training, calisthenics, different types of training that people can choose to get in shape, but really it's conditioning of the body. As an analogy, what you're doing is testing to kind of take out the programmed mind to cut straight to getting the answer. Is that?
Yeah, it's a skill like everything. Like, you want to learn how to shoot the basketball better, get better at your free throws, practice.
Right.
I've done a lot of practicing, invested a lot of time, a lot of money in myself to get my skills where they're at today. Definitely, and I think it's important. I want to say this for all the practitioners out there, because the practitioners that are doing higher level work, they've invested a lot of time and money to get their skill level there.
Yeah.
we're all on spiritual journeys. I'm on my own. And, so is my work different than 5 years ago? Yeah, it's faster, but that comes. Mm-hmm.
That's right. Yeah, that's good. Okay, Melissa. Hello, Melissa. Nice to hear from you. And yes, the sunshine. I will sell you the Florida sunshine for $50 a day. But she has a question.
Okay.
Can you check to see if Fawn's tumor on her back is really bacterial rather than cancer? Red has them too. Can you just check? It may be emotional. I don't know if that's even enough information.
What is Fawn? I don't know. Is it
I think Fawn is a name of one of her
animals. Okay.
Yeah, one of her animals. But
I'm always a little. I don't do any type of diagnosis, so I don't want to say, oh, it's cancer or it's not.
Yeah.
I would just say like something. I would approach it the growth on her back. Okay. And then what I could test for is like what type of products would be beneficial. Okay. All right. The second part, red has emotional. No, for red, I'm not getting it's mainly emotional. Could be a piece, but it's not the main story. That's definitely for a deeper consultation.
Yeah, so I was just going to say, Melissa, I would reach out.
It's 14 hours.
It's 14 hours. That means we're at the top of the hour. I would encourage you, Melissa, to reach out to Mark as well. I'll put the link back up here again so you guys can. I mean, really, at the end of the day, I would highly encourage all of you to reach out to him because I can tell, and I'm not just saying this because you're on here, Mark, but I can tell you're really good and really skilled and you're practicing your craft. I'm dedicated to the study of mastery and mastering all different areas of life. And I can see that in you. So good on you. And I want to encourage all of you to reach out to Mark and, because we're here to help. We do these calls for free. We do the summit for free. And then, of course, we have our paid version so people support us that way. The way Mark obviously makes money by doing paid sessions. But if you're not quite there yet, then do a free session because I know that he will be able to help you very, very well. And then Melissa says in response to that, as I gave her some time to comment. So good on you, Melissa. Says, that's perfect. She's a dog.
Yeah.
So this other one that I had up here from, oh goodness, Ben. I missed it here. Yeah, I lost. I don't know what was the last question or the comment I had up here. But I know it was going to the next one. Okay, I think. Oh, Brenda was just saying. Pardon me, guys. I lost my train of thought here. But Brenda was just saying, wow, thank you for answering my questions. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome, Brenda.
I sense that this is another kind of situation for Rahima Sayer, that this is a similar answer that you just gave to Melissa that might be better for a consultation. But hi, Mark, could you kindly look at Rainbow Kitty and see what's going on? She's always calm on your calls, loves your healing voice. Thanks a lot. Loving your work.
That would be like I don't think we have time for mini healings right now, but that's more, So also, can I get on my show, the People and Pet Show, usually once a month, I have one of my shows, special edition dedicated to, I do live mini healings. So you can find those on my website. There's a link called the People and Pet Show. You can just get a sample. Next week, I'm going to be doing one for spaces. If anyone has wonky spaces, join us on the live call. We're going to do mini healings on your spaces.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, that's pretty awesome. And Melissa said that here. Say appreciate it. Okay, appreciate it. Checking product is exactly what I'd like. Tried many. Thank you. And I think that really, when you think of it, you go to the grocery store, you go to the health food store, you go anywhere to buy products, you go online, you go in person. And, there's well-intentioned people that are giving you guidance and counsel, but at the end of the day, it's still, you've got to make that decision from that place of just kind of cutting out all of the clutter, so to speak. And I think that this is where working with Mark can, I see it, and as a coach, say this is 100% as an investment where you do the free session, you do a paid session or a couple paid sessions to get some clarity, because then you can kind of cut the path out of not having to test with your dollars, right? As I said before, you're either going to pay with time or you're going to pay with money. It just depends on how you want to pay, right?
Yeah, and there are a lot of also free resources where people can learn how to muscle test. But ultimately, you can do, it's like everything. You can do a lot of things on your own. I encourage people. I want self-empowerment. People do as much as they can for themselves. because, to have the tools. And sometimes you need that fine tuning, that extra 5% that you're missing. So all the work you have done then comes online.
Right. I agree. I was just looking at the comments again.
Yeah, sure.
Let me just see here. Do you work? Okay, let me pull this last one up from Trisha. This is good. And then we're going to sign off here, guys. So Trisha's asking, do you work with animals in spirit at all, or do you stay with animals in physical form? So I think she's asking about when you do, probably with remote.
So, I think I've chosen for both people and animals to work with people that or animals that are still in physical form. That being said, lately, more in my sessions with people, sometimes what I'm finding is they have a ghost energy hanging out in one of their parallel timelines. And lately, over the last 5 months, I've been seeing more of a need to provide what that ghost energy needs to cross over to the other side. Again, it's not like, and it's usually like 3 minutes. But for that person or the animal, it's usually a person, what I've seen that more of than animals. But for that person to improve, I need to move that ghost energy out of their parallel timeline, and then the breakthrough will often happen.
Yeah, this isn't the type of stuff that you can just go and do a quick Google search and learn how to do it.
No, again, and like I said, I like people. No, this is advanced work. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I think great. I love it. I think that whether I'll just say this from my experience, whether you agree or disagree with everything that Mark's talking about, just ask yourself the questions and say, has there been a time or situation, present or in the past, we won't go to the future part, but present or past, where you've second guessed the decision that you made, or you were uncertain because you just didn't have that feeling. Like, I think we've all had that feeling where you have this like feeling, there's like an energetic presence, like I just have that like right here in the solar plexus. You just know that you know, and you have that certainty about making a decision, buying that product, doing the treatment, doing the modality of healing or whatever it is. It just brings a more sense of groundedness, and by having somebody as skilled as Mark to help you with that, in my opinion, is not a cost at all. It's an investment. And that's why, to be frank, Mark, that's why we set this Animal Wellness Summit up, because my skill set is, I've been asked before, like, well, what are you doing? You're not even an animal wellness expert, but I am interested in holistic health, and I received a vision back in 2010 with part of the work that I'm doing in my marketing. But my gift is really helping people express their work more, and building communities of people. In our 2 little summits is where I've gotten started, but I have some other things planned. I have a lot to say for you guys to give you an encouragement to go and check out Mark. Free discovery session offer. I will also, it'll be in here, but you can just find him at peopleandpetsenergetics.com and then the /, but just go onto his website. It's pretty straightforward. And then I wanted to pull this up here for you, Mark, to see this. So TJ just says, thank you, Rahima. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Says, thank you. And Trisha, this was so interesting. Thank you. By the way, I'm in Florida, so good on you, Trisha. I don't know where you're at in Florida. But I've had 3 people message me from Florida saying, when we're back, we're going to see if we just stop and grab a coffee on the way out of the state. Yeah. You're in Chicago, right?
I'm in Chicago right now. Yeah, it's 44 outside. We're warm.
Yeah,
spring's coming.
I like the winter time, and I love the snow, but I did enjoy being down here for 3 weeks for sure.
I understand. Yeah. Some time in Texas too, seeing family down in San Antonio.
It's been nice. So as we kind of close off here, I wanted to ask you, I'll put this comment up here for the discovery session again, Mark. I just want to say thank you to everybody who tuned in live and making this fun, because Mark and I could just have this chat together, but it's more fun when we can interact and engage with you. And if you think we did a good job, then let other people know. And if not, then keep your opinions to yourself, as I jokingly say. And but all kidding aside, really just you can this will always be on our Facebook page. You can tag people, comment on it, share it, whatever. It'll be eventually on our YouTube page and in our members area. And then I highly encourage you to reach out to Mark, because I just think it's good to get some insight on a couple things. And then if you're feeling that like, wow, this is phenomenal, and you want to take that next step with Mark, then you guys can have that discussion. And as we're finishing off here, Mark, can you leave us with one final word or some words of wisdom? How would you like to leave us off with today?
Yeah, what I'd like to leave everyone with, trust your intuition. Okay. We all get those intuitive hits.
Yeah.
And then, here, at least in the US, we're taught as children to shut them off. Like, how do you know that stuff? That's weird. I'm going to encourage everyone because, we're moving through some uncharted times. It's going to be an interesting ride. I'd encourage everyone to listen to your intuition, trust your intuition, and develop your intuitive skills.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Spoken like a true master. Appreciate it. And thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next week. We'll be on again at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, go to Mark's website, peopleandpetsenergetics.com. And as well, if you're interested in joining us as a VIP member or platinum member, at the time of this video, it's only going to be relevant, but watch out for your inbox because we're making a short little flash sale offer for something to give you a good bang for your buck.
Mm-hmm.
If you're interested, cool. And if you're not, then just keep rocking in the free world like Neil Young. Have a great day. Stay blessed, stay grateful, stay humble, stay hungry. And we'll talk to you guys later. And thank you again, Mark. We really appreciate it.
Thanks everyone for being here. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.